Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back. And today we're going to be looking at the 1.15 update. So, going to be going over some patch notes and some goodies here, and taking a look at the new toys. So the very first toy we're going to look at is the new John Deere 859M. So this is one that existed back in, I want to say, I'm not sure if I made it for FS19 or not, but it existed back then somewhere, FS17, FS19. We had the model kicking around, and I was kind of like, oh man, I should really bring that back because it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful machine. So I kind of put it back into production here, and it turned out actually really, really, really well. So we're going to be using this one for pretty much, I'd say bunching's its primary, but you can I was playing around with it with harvesting too, like throwing a processor head on there, but I still think personally bunching's kind of where this one is its strong suit. So we're going to play around with that a little bit, but it's got fully manual leveling, similar to the other machines that we got that do the leveling style. And yeah, honestly, for bunching, it's probably one of the better machines for just, it's kind of got almost a zero turn, right, with the tracks, because it doesn't really have a huge counterweight sticking off the back. So it's got this really nice kind of, you're not going to worry about your butt end hitting on anything while you're spinning around, which is really nice while you're operating. And again, this one's got the leveling, so you can use the leveling feature to kind of level yourself out, especially when you're climbing these kind of steeper terrains. You can kind of keep yourself a little bit more balanced while you're mowing down the bigger trees. But overall, it turned out really good, feels really good. Just can't get a grip on that one. Whoopsies. It's my first day bunching, so you guys will have to love that. Yeah, overall though, this is one that was a big fan, popular one. We haven't done a John Deere in a while either, so I figured it'd be kind of fun to get a John Deere on the roll. Okay, we're gonna cut one more tree and then I will stop the addiction. There we go. Okay. But as you can see, it works very efficiently for bunching. Like I said, I did throw the Warta on this guy, and it also works extremely well. As a grapple hoe chucker, it's all right. You don't really have as much of functionality in the head as you would on some of the larger machines. But anyway, so there's that. What else is new? So I'm not going to buy them because I already did a whole video on this thing, but the B-Train. So you got a B-Train trailer with a pup trailer. So that's basically a whole setup for doing short logs. These bunks are best for 5-meter logs we found in testing. Again, I'm not going to go too heavily into these trailers in this update because I did a whole video on it. So if you guys want to learn about those, go back. Well, it wasn't even that long ago, like last week. I put out a video called it's the Stackables B-Train video. So that will give you the full details on how all that works. And you'll see that lots in multiplayer videos coming up. Okay, so zooming over here, we have the Tiger Cat, and it's hosting the new Power Clam. So this is the new version of the Power Clam, which has got kind of a closed casing and these kind of guard bars on it for locking down. This one acts a little bit differently. It's been a huge request to make this type of grapple. I mean, some people like them, some people don't. But they close and lock right on the tongs as opposed to folding up into each other like some of the other grapples. So when you go to grab, you'll find you can get decent grabs and it holds really well. But if you have a grab and there's lots of little ones, just like real life, sometimes they will poop out the bottom a little bit. So I'll try to demonstrate that. Well, I can't. It's just too good. I can't do it. Okay, well, eventually you guys will find if you're picking up larger logs, if a big grapple's worth, sometimes they will crap out the bottom a little bit if you have a gap there, which I can't seem to get because it's just, we're just being too efficient. Here, let's grab a big pile. I'm trying to show a failure here. There we go. How about that? Nope, even that holds too well. Anyway, you guys will find out once in a while it can drop them if you have little ones on the bottom, but overall, it's actually an incredibly good grapple, especially when you're doing large amounts of smaller logs, like short logs and such. You can do it on longs a little bit, but I would definitely recommend saving this one strictly for shorts, because it is definitely built for being a short log grapple. So yeah, anyway, that's the new version of the Power Clam. The old model that we had for the Power Clam There was just a lot of issues with the clipping, and some of the components didn't want to lock together properly. But this one's actually super efficient. We've done a lot of testing, and people do like it. The other new thing, which isn't on this map, there's a new version of Sitka, the Sitka logging map, and I had a huge request from people to get rid of the big trees on it, and I didn't want to get rid of the big trees entirely, so what I did is there's now a second version of Sitka, and you'll see in big quotations, no big trees, and basically it's similar to this map. It just has these kind of more medium-sized trees. I just went through and I removed all the really big ones, and I replaced them all with kind of a medium-sized tree. So now there's that version of Sitka for people who don't want to deal with the big trees. I agree. I think the big trees can be total pain in the butt when you're logging. With this update, you guys will find lots of stability with these machines, so they can handle all that stuff a little bit more securely than they did before. But overall, it's a good option to have if you don't like the big trees. So that's an option for you now. Okay, going down to the patch notes. So all maps now have better tree physics. So the physics on these trees has been altered so that they stack and pile and react a lot better than they did in previous updates. You'll find even when you're doing processor piles, they tend to pile up a lot nicer, as we'll see when we're testing out the processors. Overall, like I said, just a better handling feel when you're loading them on trucks and grapples, when you're cutting them down. You guys will notice. I'm sure someone will notice. All mods. Lights. So the lights on the vehicles have been dumbed down a teeny bit. I had lots of people saying it was a little ridiculous how bright they were, because during the day it would like literally light up the ground for miles ahead of it. And now I kind of toned it down so it's a little bit bright. It still looks good at night, but it's not so bright that it's like crazy. Even this is pretty bright, but at least it's not as bad as it was before, so that's fixed. All dangle heads and attachments are more stable. Oh, this is one I'm really happy about. Oh, perfect. We'll use this as an example. So all of the processor heads, all of the dangle attachments, all of the grapples, everything that dangles, basically anything that does this effect, is a lot more stable now. So before they would kind of bounce around a little bit crazy. I'm just going to go down this ditch here. They'd bounce around a little bit crazy and act a little nuts. So now you'll find when you're cutting, for instance, if you're felling trees, if I can get that there, it just stays a lot more stable while you're dropping it. As you can see, it looked a lot more stable. The head doesn't fling around all violently. Like I'm moving it pretty aggressively here, and it stays pretty stable. Before, it would really flop around like crazy. Even when you're cutting the bigger trees. Well, actually, here, let's do a demo. Let's ruin our train of thought here and see if we can drop this. Actually, we might hit our button top, but you know what? It happens. Just in general, stability just is much better. Well, we did hit the button top. That's okay. It's our button top. We can do that. We're allowed. There we go. So, like, even big trees, you'll find when you're cutting them, it pulls them along a lot smoother. They stay a lot more stable. I mean, I'm sure you guys can still catch it hung up on a tree in some way and make it go flying across the map. This game is always going to have some kind of fun stuff going on like that. But for the most part, I went through for about an hour and I was felling trees just with this thing. Just what I was doing, like, you know, knocking them down, felling them, and it's super smooth. It's probably the best I've ever had this processor. Same with running them off the ground out of piles and stuff. That's a huge change. So just in general, you'll find they're a lot more similar to real life. I watched a whole bunch of real life videos of guys felling and guys pulling them out of piles and stuff, and it just mine were just a little too wobbly. So now they have a little bit of dampening, so they don't swing so erratically anymore. They're a lot more controllable. Anyway, next one. All mods in-game price adjustments. Okay, so for the mods, I had a few people saying that the prices were kind of all over the board. So the prices are kind of in the lower tier to make them a little bit more like you can have your own kind of fun with it. Lowered some of the values of some stuff. I don't really understand the economy in finances in this game, because like when you go sell a load of short logs, sometimes it's like can be upwards of 60 grand for a load of, you know, short logs. And in real life, you might get $2,000 for that. So I don't understand how the economy for money works in this game, but I did have some people saying some of the prices were too high based on the game or something. So you'll see that some of the prices on the equipment has changed a little bit. Prices have gone down on some things and balanced out on others. Anyway, not a big deal, but a little bit of a change for those few people that emailed me and asked. It is now changed. Fixed springy effect and grapple. Okay, so I did a whole video on this as well, so I won't get too cray-cray into it. But basically what I did, we'll just use this one as the example. So as I explained in that video that I did earlier, which is still out there if you guys want to go look into it more, previously what would happen on the grapples when you went to close them, so if I pin it against the ground, what would happen when you went to close them is they'd hang up and they'd spring shut like a rat trap. So I found a way to dampen that. So now when you close, they stay relatively smooth, so they don't spring shut. So if I get hung up on the ground, you see how it closes nice and smooth, and it doesn't do like a real big springy shut. It's got that little bit of dampening on the rotation, so it's a lot smoother when you go to pick up from a pile. So if I go up into this pile and we grab a bunch of random logs here, it'll grab them tight, but it won't spring launch them out of the grapple, which is kind of important. So when you go pick up, it kind of rolls them up nicer, and you'll find that probably better on the other grapples, as you saw when we were playing with that power clam there. It just grabs a lot nicer and hangs on a lot nicer. As you can see, it's hanging on pretty decently to those, which I like to see. You guys will just notice overall the grapples have just greatly improved. You will notice when you go to open and close them, they're kind of slower. Like they got almost a little bit of a delay. It's a tiny bit of a delay. It's not like game changing. I mean, if I can still do it, you guys can definitely do it. But I think it'll make smoother operators out of a lot of people too, where you're not like launching the logs and springing them. And when you go to drop them, they just roll out a lot nicer. And you know, in real life, there's physics that are going on that this game can't even quite understand. So in real life, it's a lot different. But in this game, we had to make a little bit of a change to make it balance out. And I think you guys will find overall it is just such a better experience for everybody. But let me know. I want to know when you guys do your comments and stuff. Let me know what you think of that. So the springy effect is fixed. Minor adjustments to grip strength. So some of these, I went through every single grapple individually and changed. Let's go to this big one here. Okay, so I'm going to actually teleport this thing behind me so I can go to this log pile here if I don't land on something. Close enough. So every single grapple I went through, and I actually worked on them individually by themselves and applied different effects. Before, what I used to do is I used to find kind of a setting that worked great for one, so I'd kind of just apply it to all of them, but realizing each of them have their own different physics, that doesn't always work. So each one kind of has their own strengths and weaknesses, and each one has their own settings now. So this one's got a much higher friction now. Problem before was a lot of people said it was sliding really easily in this one. So I can probably still make it slide if I get way off axis. It slides a little bit, but as you can see, even on that sharper angle, oops, I'm kind of waving a heavy load here. They only start to slide when you're at like probably about a 45, and then they start to slide out of the grapple. But even at that angle, like they're still staying in there because I cranked the friction up on this so it grabs a lot nicer. So you guys, when you're unloading short logs and stuff, you'll find it's just a lot smoother of an operation while you're trying to grab them. And I did that with pretty much all of the fixed head or the dangle grapples that kind of close on the tip. Anyway, without getting into too much crazy technical detail, they're just better now. They're way better. As you can see, I can kind of drag them along. They still slip a little, which is good because you want a little bit of slip, but for the most part, they Velcro a little nicer to the grapple so that you can actually operate better. So I was watching some videos of some guys on YouTube that sent me them and were showing me how I was sliding in and out of the grapples, and that one does no longer do that, and lots of them don't do that now. Same with, where's the other grapple? Oh, was that it? There it is. So this grapple, this is our thumb rake grapple. Same difference. This one has different physics. So this one's a little more slippery than the other ones because I kind of want it to slide and grip around the shorts a little bit better. So when you're picking up a big pile of shorts like this, I wanted it to kind of really choke up on them a bit better. And then you can also do like, you know, penciling and stuff like that, just to kind of keep the happiness. But it is definitely a little bit more slippery, you'll find, than some of the other grapples. So if I pick up a single log, if I slide it back and forth, you can see how it kind of slips on there. Now, like I said, I did that for a reason, because this grapple is able to actually close all the way tight pretty much. I wanted that to be more slippery, because now you can actually just bite right up on that log if you wanted to. So if you keep your grapple open, it'll slip right out of there. But because this one closes solid, you can just kind of choke right up on it, and then you don't have to worry about it. But I wanted it slippery so that when you grab in these big piles like this, it doesn't hang up. So then instead, it kind of rolls up nice into the grapple like that, the way it's supposed to. And it kind of hugs the logs a lot better. Anyway, I could talk about grapples all day long in physics because it's kind of fun. That's my little obsession. What else did we fix? Stability, weight adjustment, roller control. Oh, that's the processors. All of the processors have... Where's my processor? So all of the processors have improved rollers and grip and lift and everything. It's just a way better machine. Oops, as we run over the world here. So now, some people are saying that the rollers weren't pulling logs through very good. Well, now they definitely do, very strongly. So you can go in. Oops, if I can actually grip a log here. There we go. Kind of got them on a teeter-tottery angle here. So now when you get a log in there, like these rollers are so freaking tough, you can just run them wherever you want, and it's pretty darn stable. Now, one thing you got to watch, so these back knives, if you have these squeezed all the way as tight as they possibly go, your rollers aren't really going to pull very well unless you have them really tensed right up. Like if you have your rollers closed all the way, you can see it's kind of fighting it though. So if you're ever having problems rolling, just like real life, because in real life, if you have those knives too squeezed up, sometimes they don't roll very nice either. Just back off those knives a little bit, and then your log will roll right through like there's no problem. But yeah, it stays a lot better, rolls a lot nicer. You'll find every tree. You won't have any problems. I was actually doing hoe chucking with this thing by going like this and then just kind of rolling it up to my other spot. So you can kind of grab a tree, chuck it, go over, grab another tree. We'll grab a little one here. I'm not going to do this all day, but... And again, if you're choked up too tight, those rollers won't work super well. But as you can see, it ain't losing no grip on that thing. It's running it through like a pro. So it's pretty sweet. And when you get to the end, you kind of wiggle around there. Perfect. Yeah, so anyway, big improvement on all processors. Oh, another side note, the fixed head, which I don't have in this game right now, but this guy, so the fixed head, now has... I got rid of that effect where it was bouncing. I had a lot of people, and I experienced it too. I was able to replicate it. But when you're running a really heavy tree through, this thing would kind of like just it would jump up and down and freak out. The smaller ones were fine, but the bigger ones had a problem. So I went through and I did a really abusive test with this thing on falling full-size trees on Sitka, like the really, really big ones. And it's working fine now. You can still, if you pin it against a tree or you're doing the biggest size tree, like huge, won't even fit in the grapple barely, it can still tiny bit of wobble, but man, I couldn't make it do anything aggressive. It was just a little teeny bit. But anything like medium-sized trees, it just licks them up like there's no problem, so you won't have to worry about those anymore. Trailers. Big stability, blah, 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 blah. Trailers. Oh, the trailers. This might make people mad. I don't know. Maybe not. I hope not. Because I said it, it will now. So these trailers are no longer color selectable. So I had, I don't know if it, and I don't know if it's like the game or if it's like somebody else had mods in there, but in our multiplayer and a couple other places, what was happening is you'd paint it a different color other than the base color of black that it is in the editor, and it would flicker. Like it would get these weird flickery, like it would be black and whatever color you had selected. It would flicker between them, and it would happen on the inside of the stakes. And it could be modeling stuff, or I have no idea. But it doesn't do it in this color, and it was really irritating me in multiplayer. I was watching it as it was kind of flickering all the time. And people had emailed me about it saying that they noticed it too, so at least it wasn't just me. So these are no longer color selectable anymore, the trailers. They are black, they are gray, and that is the color they stay. The rim, you can make the rim color whatever you want, because that's not a problem. But the actual trailers themselves are just staying their base colors, so you can make them the base colors and be safe with it. This one too, same difference. So yeah, I know some people liked having colorful trailers, but whatever. It was just really glitchy. Didn't like it. Glitched is bad. Pro Pack Buncher, which we were playing with when we started the round. We're going to tab that. So the Pro Pack Buncher, couple things fixed on it. So physics upgrade. It fells a lot better than it did before. I fixed the secondary claws. I didn't even notice it, but somebody pointed it out. And I don't know how I didn't notice it, but these claws, these secondary ones here, had actually been rescinded back so that the point was like on this little tip, and they were like way up there and not on the actual like bolt pin that goes through. And I guess I just never really looked at it because I run it all the time. It must have been when I did the physics change or something. But yeah, the little teeth or the little claws, these secondary ones weren't closing correctly. So now they now they close like right on to where they're supposed to close, and it looks more proper to the way it's supposed to be. So that was fixed. What else? Fixed collisions so the claws can pick up trees off the ground. Ah, yes. So you can pick up trees off the ground a little bit better now. The little ones, you're still not perfect, but if you're on like normal kind of ground, you can usually grab them pretty good. But in the last update, there's no way in hell you could pick a tree off the ground, because I'll tell you a secret. In this head, there is a secret little claw that's hidden down here on the bottom. And I think I've said this before. But anyway, when I had done that last update, I had accidentally pushed that claw lower than this claw. So then when you went to grab stuff, it wasn't actually picking anything up off the ground because you're hitting that bottom claw. So now when you go in to do a pick off the ground, it'll actually grab with that top claw, and then you can use that secondary one to close if you want. But a whole bunch of people were like, oh, this is stupid. I can't pick up a tree off the ground. And I was like, what? But then I did testing, and I was like, yeah, no, you couldn't. So now you can pick trees, as you can see, up off the ground and use your little visual claw there to do your little thing and throw them across the map or whatever you want to do with them. Okay, what else? Other than that, just physics in general are a lot better. You'll find when you grab trees, whether big or small, you're going to have just way better stability in that head. As you can see, I picked that tree up. Look at it. It's standing there like it hasn't even been touched. It's not even glitching out. Before, all the time, any tree you picked up would be fighting in that grapple really bad. So now with that dampening effect and all that other stuff I added, it's just super smooth. So they just stay a lot more happy when you're cutting. Same when you're getting like bundles of trees, you go in and grab big bunches of them or whatever. You'll feel it how it just settles way nicer in there. Then you go to drop them, it just everything's better. It's all better. Basically, in this update, everything's just better, and you're going to love it. Okay, anything else? Fixed Warthog. We went over that. We fixed it. Logger Mac. Oh, the Logger Mac truck. Where is it? Trucky. If I tab long enough, eventually I'll find it. Oh, maybe I don't have it in here. Did I not buy a truck on this one? Guess not. We'll buy one. So I took this thing here, tab. All right. So a thinner headache rack, because it was a really big, thick one, almost double the width of the way it looks now. So it gives you a little bit more space when you have a trailer hooked up to lay the logs a little closer to the cab if you want, because some people were saying that the headache rack was a little too close and they were hitting it all the time. I removed that weird black E-looking shape, which I see I didn't actually remove from the picture. So if I remember to do that, there was that E. You see that weird E thing? It was actually just kind of a weird shape. The reason I put it on there was so that you could tell the difference. A lot of people played with the Mack trucks in-game and then the Mack trucks from the FDR side. So I put that weird black E on there, so that backwards E, so that you could tell the difference between them. But now that they have this headache rack, the in-game ones don't have that, so you really don't need that stupid thing on there anymore. So that's been changed. Physics upgrade a little bit just to balance out the weights and tires and stuff, but you'll notice it drives nice. No big difference from the last one. Yeah, overall it's just a better overall feel having that headache rack a little bit closer. So you guys will like that. And what else? The power clam, but we went over that. So the power clam obviously has the new model. This is the new power clam with the little grates in there. You guys will have fun with that too. So yeah, other than that, it's just a really huge stability update. Balance on the equipment, balance on the machines, physics on the trees, everything. Overall, you guys are going to have a great experience. I've also tested all of my machines versus Giants in-game trees and stuff. Like I played on a couple Giants maps, and they work astoundingly well on that as well. I do personally believe my trees on this map with these physics are much better and settle a lot nicer than the in-game ones, but at least I know you guys can use these machines on whatever the heck you want maps, and it shouldn't have a problem. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments about the way things are, or you find something weird, let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But if not, enjoy the update. We'll talk to you guys later. See ya.